Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you don't know who I am yet, I am Amanda Webster. I'm the COO of Fund and Grow. And I'm super excited to invite everybody here today for this special live session. David is going to be going over this amazing company he has built, and they do all the things nobody wants to do. Nobody likes paperwork. Nobody likes the process that comes in with a lot of real estate investing in real estate businesses. So David is one who is able to bring you guys into this offer that I feel is just worth every amount of gold you could put on it. But he took ezREI closings and came up with this business model that I just love and I wanted to share with all of you. And I hope that you get as much value out of this call as I know that you can. David's gonna bring you through the whole thing, but I'll be here hanging out the whole time. So David, it's on you, buddy.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, and feel free to jump in and ask questions. One thing, and I know you do this. We do a lot of presentations, so sometimes I forget or gloss over something that'll be really important. But no, Amanda, thank you so much for having me on. Um, so again, my name is David Olds. I'm the CEO and founder for ezREI Closings, and I've been an investor for since 2002. So what's that? 22 years, which is a completely ridiculous amount of time. And I always love to talk about some of the things that I struggled with, because everybody in social media world loves to jump on here and tell you how great things are, but sometimes it can be a challenge. And one of the things that I really struggled with in growing, my companies before we started ezREI Closings. At one point, we were one of the largest wholesalers in the country. We were doing it between conservatively 25 and 35 deals a month, like closing that many deals. But even before that, I started here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I was just a solo operator. And the problem for me going from solo operator to, having any kind of scale was I suffered from something that a lot of investors struggle with, and that's that I thought I could do everything myself. Right. I had that sort of that entrepreneurial sickness of nobody can do it better than me. And I'm the best, and I can't spend any money, and I don't trust anybody else. And that's fine if you're going to have somewhat of a small operation, but if you want to grow it to any kind of, I don't want to keep saying scale, but to any size, and build up an actual business, then there's just going to be a point where you have to trust somebody, and you're going to have to either hire some people in or outsource. And we'll talk a little bit about kind of my two rules for outsourcing that after 22 years I've kind of boiled it down to. So yeah, so again, my struggle when I was by myself, or it's just me and my wife at the time, was how let me share my screen here. How is it that Sharon, there we are. Come on. There we go. Like, how do some of those investors that have grown their companies so big, how did they do it? Right? Because I was so unwilling to give up that little bit of control. So the things that I was wondering are probably some of the same things that you guys may have struggled with at some point, right? How are some of these investors always closing their deals, right? They're on the golf course and they're at the RIA meetings talking about how many deals they're doing, or how many rehabs they're doing, or you know how their business seemingly runs on autopilot, right? And even beyond that, like, why was I struggling? Why some of these other people were just growing so quickly. And one of the other problems I had is, and something a lot of people that I've talked to have run up against is, when we started this business, or we wanted to get into this business, and we read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or we came across somebody on YouTube that talked to us about wholesaling, right? It was, we want to get into this business, we want to help sellers, we want to, take these properties and portfolio them, or wholesale them, or novate them, or whatever it is we're going to do. We're going to make a lot of money. Like, there were some parts of the business that nobody ever talked about, right? Where do you get your funding, right? Well, Fund and Grow and Amanda have filled that slot for us. But the backside of the business, the title work, right? It's like Amanda said, nobody wants to do it. It's a struggle. It's like changing your oil. You kind of do it, but you're just a little bit, gritting your teeth. And that was the issue that I had. It was, you know, it was something that I didn't really understand. I sort of muddled my way through, but it was just always a challenge. And then kind of the last thing is how is it that some investors just had all the time in the world, and I was working 15, 16 hours a day, right? Like, it kind of bugged me a little bit. I couldn't, it took me a long time to sort of figure out what the secret was there. So what I want to share with you guys today, right, and we'll get right to it, is how we can help you scale your business faster, right? Amanda's able to help you on the front side, right, because you have to have money to grow. You have to have money to put into marketing or to buy properties or, to, fund equipment or computers or whatever it is you're going to do. But we'll talk to you about the backside of the business, how we, once you pour that gas in, how we can get the wheel of your business spinning even faster and faster. And again, very important. We all understand that scaling is growing, right? And adding revenue to your business, but you have to be able to keep your expenses low, right? Because if you are just bringing in a bunch of money, but you're burning up all that cash, well, you have a very expensive hobby. You don't have much of a business. And one thing that's always been important to me is making sure that we are spending our time in our business on the things that actually move the needle, right? So in our business, if you're in real estate, that is talking to sellers and talking to buyers and making sure that your marketing is running continuously so that you have a constant flow of leads. And, again, to go back to when we all started, right? Everybody got into this business for a reason, right? Some people, have you figure out what your why is, or, what was that thing that you got into the business? For me, it was to have some freedom, right? To not be working 20 hours a day, right? At my corporate job. But for other people, it's, hey, I want to be able to go pick up my kids from school at 2 o'clock, or I want to be able to go on vacation, or I want to make money to donate to charity, whatever that is, right? So we've been able to help a lot of people achieve that. And let's kind of talk about it here a little bit. So here's how we can help you, right? What we are, we're the nation's largest virtual transaction coordination company. So we really take over on the whole last third of your deal cycle, right? So once you got a property under contract, you hand that contract off to us, and we handle everything all the way from there till closing. You get your buyer, hand us that contract. We will handle everything with coordinating that buyer, their funding, hard money, soft money, 1031 exchange, whatever it is. And what that does is that allows you to get your time back, right? It allows you to take that time and spend it investing in your business, talking to your sellers, training up your team, and really just growing. And that scalability, right? We're set up with lots of different plans for everybody so that, no matter what level you're at, we can help you. We have clients who are doing 40 deals a month, and I've got clients who are doing one or two. And, what was really important to me when we started the business was to make sure that we could do that for you, at a very high level, and be able to do it where, it was effective and you could leverage us and all of the other clients and sort of pool those resources. So, I talked a little bit earlier about the rules for outsourcing. So if you want to write anything down, let's start with this. So I have two rules for outsourcing, and here they are. One, can I find somebody who can do it better than me? Right. Well, I'll talk to you a little bit, or I'll show you here about the deals and things that we've done. Like, we can definitely do it better. We do this at a very high level. We've done hundreds of millions of dollars worth of closings. So that's one thing, right? So when you're evaluating anybody, whether it's PPC or marketing or cold calling or SMS, like whatever it is that you're looking at outsourcing in your business, can they do it better than me? Right. And that's a problem for us investors. I had this at the very beginning too, like nobody could do it better than me. And that's not necessarily true. The reality is we're all really amazing at something, one part of our business, but we're not amazing at everything, right? So can they do it better than me, and can they do it cheaper than me, right? And when I say cheaper than me, cheaper than you could hire somebody in-house, or if you're doing it yourself, right? What is your real effective hourly wage, right? Take your sales, divided by 40 hours or 50 hours or 60 hours, whatever you're working. Like everybody, we all have an hourly wage, right? So better and cheaper. And if you can answer yes to both of those, then that's somebody that you should probably hire, right? Because what it's going to do is it allows you to spend your time on the things in your business that matter the most, right? So can we do it better? Yes, you can absolutely rely on, our 3,000 files that we've closed to make sure that we are going to get your deals over that finish line. Because I want you to have that work-life balance. We're going to talk about that a lot. We all got into this business for a reason. It was not to work 16 hours a day like I was doing in the very beginning. It's terrible. It's not healthy for you. It's not great for your family and for your relationships. And, are there times when you need to have that burst of hustle? Of course, but that's not sustainable. It's just not something that you can have all the time if you want to have a thriving business. Oops. There we are. So what are the problems that you have, that I had, that we all have? We want to minimize the cost of lost deals, right? So what does that mean? Well, in our business, there were, let me just go back to me, right? When I was starting, I would take my contract to the title company and I'd be so excited. I'd be like, hey, Jeremy, here's this deal, you know, here's this contract. And he would look at it and he'd be like, oh, Davey, there's a dead person there. You're gonna have to probate it. I'm like, oh my goodness. I don't it, it. You're gonna have to probate it. So I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, they need to get an attorney, and that's no good. So I'm literally taking these contracts and flushing them. Can you do this? Can you watch and admit people for me? So, anyways, so there's that. There's cost of lost deals where I'm spending all of my time running around collecting paperwork, death certificates, and obituaries and trust documents. And when I'm doing all of that, am I doing the thing that I need to be doing running my business, which is again talking to sellers and talking to buyers, right? So cost of lost deals affects you in a lot of different ways. You have to close that because I
It's not.
no, okay. Um, so then, what was happening to me? Sorry, we were technical stuff on this side. So what was happening to me is I was working constantly. I was working harder, and I should have known better. My daddy taught me as a boy, work smart, not hard. And I was just trying to do every single thing myself. So I realized after a time, well, this isn't smart. Like I need to start to either bring somebody in or I need to outsource it to somebody else. And then, again, the same thing with the title company, right? I was spending a ton of time tracking down all the paperwork and all of just the nonsense for them that was going to be required to get these deals closed. Because what do we do as investors, right? As investors, we go out there. What's our job? Our job is to solve problems, right? So what does that mean? Well, we've got to go find people who either the house is distressed or they are distressed, right? And then, so we're building these lists or we're marketing to people with death, divorce, taxes, probate, job transfer, all of these things. And sometimes we stack all of those things, right? Well, to get to closing, somebody has to solve all of those problems, right? Like somebody has to clear all that up so we can get to closing. And I was spending a ton of time, tracking down just all of this, just crazy stuff that, yeah, it was important. Yeah, it got my deal closed, but it wasn't just the best use of my time, right? I didn't have a productive, a well-trained, or, even somewhat efficient team at all. So those are the problems that we've all got. And the question that should come up right away, right? Like anytime you're hiring somebody is why should you trust us? Like of all the people in the world, why would you bother with us? Well, we've been doing this for over 20 years, done thousands of deals. I've done over 1,600 wholesale deals long before we ever started this business here. So, the way that I built the company, right? When we started hiring in our first coordinators, is the company was built, it was really built to serve me, right? Me and, some really close friends. It wasn't something that we were gonna blow up and do, nationwide like it's become. So I knew that, all of our coordinators had to be able to serve real investors like you guys, right? People who like it may not be the same type of deal every single time, right? It could be, maybe this week it's a wholesale deal, but next week it's an ovation, and then the following week it's a sub two, but then there's a sub two wrap, or there's a note and a lease option, a land contract, right? So, we had to have experience, and the coordinators that we put in place had to have experience doing all of these types of things. And then the other thing, right, is now we're in a virtual world. It's very easy to pop in and out of cities all over the country and work in the places where you can get the highest fees. So we wanted to make sure that we could do deals in all 50 states, right? Because that's really important, because we want to make sure that we're here to serve you and be your partner and help you grow your business. So that, and then just, I'm a 52-year-old guy, so I don't love the virtual work environment. So everybody, all of our coordinators, everybody's here in our office in Chattanooga, Tennessee, so that we have that great culture and very collaborative where, after doing 3,000 deals, somebody in our office has handled whatever problem that you're going to have. And what I like to tell people is, close your eyes and think of the worst deal that you've ever had, or close your eyes and think of the thing you're most scared of, right? The deal that you're afraid could blow up and, lose your $80,000 assignment fee, or, that great closing that you definitely want to put in your portfolio. that's just a Tuesday for us, right? Like this is all that we do. We don't do anything else here. We don't wholesale anymore. We don't coach. We don't do anything. 20 something people on our team all are here in the office every single day, right? We're just here from 8:30 to 5:30 or probably 7 some nights, just making sure that we're getting your deals closed. And this number is kind of old now, but 2,000 files last year. Um, so most people won't do you know, 200 files in a lifetime. Imagine doing 2,000 in just a year. And what that does is it just gives us that experience and understanding of how to navigate all of these title problems. So, and again, the only thing we're focused on is getting your deal closed. So, why ezREIclosings? Closings? Ultimately, we were very clear when we set out, we want to be here to help you do more deals. That's it. That is the single-minded goal for our team is to help you in your business focus on the things that are going to help you do more deals, which is going to help you make more money, right? And then have more freedom. And I always tell people that's the freedom to do more deals or the freedom to go sit on the beach in Puerto Rico, right? Like whatever you want to do, go on vacation with your kids. We have lots of clients who, they're able to just disconnect and leave for, 2 or 3 weeks and not worry about, is somebody going to be working my deal? Is this closing going to happen? Right? Because, they know that we've done this over and over again, and we just have a proven system for them. So let's talk a little bit about like what we've done. And I always feel like people think we're bragging when we do this, but last year in 2023, we did 2,200 files. So that's a lot of closings. That's a lot. We did $208 million last year, and our clients had an average assignment fee of $31,633. So that's pretty good. And if you jump down there to the bottom in red, we generated almost $29 million in assignment fees and novation fees for our clients. So we do a lot of this, I guess, is really the only thing here that I kind of want to point out. So this kind of goes back to the, why should you trust us? We're really good at what we do. I mean, we're beyond good. This is the only reason we exist is to help you grow your business. But look in the very center there, national average. So the national average of wholesale assignment fees in the US last year was $18,643. So that'll, you can always use that as a little bit of guide if you're wholesaling and or doing assignments or novations, whatever. But, for us, our clients were at a little over 31,000. So why is that? Right? Why is that? It's not because I'm closing their deals or negotiating their deals or selling their deals for them. But this is what happens when you're able to spend time in your business on the things that matter. I say a lot, move the needle, right? You're able to work with your team or spend more time, negotiating these deals, spending time doing the best marketing to get your deal sold or working with agents or whatever it is that you're doing, right? But when you have time to work in your business, the needle moves, right? I mean, clearly it does. There's no other explanation for what that big difference is. So easy ROI closings again equals more deals, more money, and more freedom for you. So I want to show you a couple things here, but before we do that, let me talk to you about a couple of our clients. Sam Hopkins, great investor out of Virginia, young kid, like the stereotypical wholesaler, like aggressive, coachable, does everything right. But like most wholesalers, and I consider myself, a lifetime wholesaler, we're really good at going out there and taking action and, being that person who jumps out of the airplane and builds the parachute on the way down and, does all of that, taking that massive imperfect action. But you know what we're usually terrible at? Paperwork. Most investors, like our accountants, hate us, our bookkeepers hate us, the lawyers hate us because we never get anything done on time. And Sam's kind of one of those guys. And he's very kind here. He grew his business incredibly. And we were able to make it a much smoother process, eliminating a lot of that paperwork and administrative tasks. And Sam is just absolutely fantastic and just a big client for us. So again, the challenges that Sam has, that I have, that a lot of you have are, finding an investor-friendly title company, right? We talked at the beginning here, I would take my contracts over to Jeremy, that we called him Dr. No, and be like, oh, I can't close this one. Oh, this one needs a super quiet title. Oh, this one needs, something else. And the reality is one thing that I learned back then was, yeah, there are definitely, title problems. As an investor, we go out, we go seeking those problems. But, the answer isn't always going to court. There are other ways to solve some of these title issues. Not all of them. I'm here to tell you there are some that are just so messed up that you are going to have to do a super quiet title. But we understand how to, even if it goes that far, how to navigate through those and at least compress time and, get it done as quickly as possible because we want you to get paid, right? I want your cash conversion cycle. And if you're not familiar with that term, that is from the time you spend money on marketing, how long does it take to get that money back, right? We want to condense that cash conversion cycle as as significantly as we can. Gathering paperwork to clear title. Title companies do not do everything. Transaction coordination and title companies are different. The title company's job is to clear the title, tell you what's necessary. But what you guys may have experienced is they're sending you these emails. Hey, I need the seller's date of birth. I need social security number. I need, death certificate. I need two disinterested parties, right? There's just this constant barrage of emails asking for information. And that's really what the coordinator does. And that's what will free up all of your time. And again, after doing, 4,000 files over the last couple of years, we very much understand how to solve those problems because we've been through them over, and over and over and over again. And, you know, one of the one of the things I struggled with when we first went virtual and started working in other states was, my God, who's gonna like send the notary over there? Like, how is that gonna work? What do we do if the title company isn't in the same town where the seller is, the elderly seller? Like, what are we gonna do about that? And sometimes, we had one pretty recently here. It had 18 people that had to sign on the closing. Let me just tell you, that is like herding freaking cats, so virtual wholesaling has become a thing, and a lot of our clients, do that because no matter where you're at, you now have access. Like, I didn't have this 22 years ago, right? But now you have access to pop into any market in the country. But like, there's some craziness, some kookiness that comes with that, right? There's 50 states who all do it a little bit different, right? You have title company states, you have attorney states, you have escrow states, you have all, some are kind of blended like California. And so you have to understand how to operate in those states and understand what the timeline is to get these deals closed, right? You don't want to go to New York and tell a seller you can close in 7 days. It's not going to happen. I promise you, you should put 90 days on those contracts, and maybe you'll be getting some extensions. But even beyond like the wackiness with the states, there's 3,500 counties who all love to do things just a little bit different to show how unique they are. So, definitely want to be able to understand, all the different laws and regulations and what's required where, and who needs sewage inspections or whatever, municipal lien releases, that type of stuff. So yeah, so there's that. Recording memos and notices of contracts, that's become very, very important the last couple of years, right? And again, lost deals and lost revenue, right? Did I, you know, did I call Mrs. Smith every single week and make sure that she was still in the loop, right? Because one thing that causes sellers to bounce out more than anything is they just think that you're not still in the deal, right? Because we get busy, right? I remember for me, right, I would be, it's just me. I get my marketing going, and I take a bunch of calls from sellers, and I lock a contract up, and then boom, like I'm off to dispositions, and then I'm off to clear and title, and then I'll call Mrs. Smith back, and I'm like, hey, Mrs. Smith, we're closing next week. She's like, oh, you're still buying my house? I'm like, yeah, are you ready to move? She's like, no. Right. So that stuff definitely happens. My friend Ryan here, he makes the cut here. He's been with us since the very, very beginning, but he has one of the greatest quotes. I don't want to ever go back to that dirty, dirty past life when we were doing TC in house. So again, same thing, helped us streamline his pipeline, and great communication, and very nice of him to, say we're worth every penny. And one thing I want to show you here in just a minute is what that looks like, what the backside of looking like a client, or what it looks like to be a client, all the things that you get. But before that, again, I just like to reiterate, the only thing that our team does every single day when they come in here is they're just here to help you close the deal. Like, that's it. Like, very, very, very straightforward. It's closing the deal. So I mentioned someone earlier, we were talking about like growth in people's companies, and Alex Romanoff. amazing, amazing story. He had this great big team, but they were very disjointed. Everybody was trying to do all their own closings, and nobody was really getting anything done. So when they came to us, you could see he said they had 97,000 a month in revenue, which is good. Like, let's not be confused. Like 97 a month is pretty good. Most people would kill for that. But that by the end of May, just a couple of months later, they were able to get up to 750,000 in revenue. That's an impressive jump. And like they stay over 500,000. Their biggest month ever was 811. Again, I didn't buy their contracts for them. My team didn't sign them. We didn't sell their deal. But but instead of every single dispositions and acquisitions person trying to all do their own transactions, which took them away from doing the thing that moved the needle in their company, now they're all able to focus, right? Now you've got a team, right, that's concentrated on talking to sellers, talking to buyers, getting those deals over the line, and then letting us take them to closing. And the growth was just incredible, right? So, will that happen for you? I don't know. I can't run your company. All I can do is close your deals for you. But I mean, over and over again, we've seen this time and time again with our clients where they've just been able to grow in a big way. So, so easy. What's different about us? Again, we talked about it earlier. We are the only company that can serve you in all 50 states and do all transaction types. There are lots of people who say they can, but have they actually done it? We've definitely got the HUDs to prove that. All of our team is in office, right? So it's a very concierge service. We don't use any VAs. And I'm not here to say VAs are bad. VAs are great. I love VAs. We have them that help us do marketing and spreadsheets and those types of things, but never a VA on the phone with your seller or your buyer. Because here's what happens. Like, admittedly, VAs sometimes have a little bit of an accent. So you wouldn't want somebody, virtual assistant with a Filipino accent calling Mrs. Smith in Western PA and start asking her for her social security number and her wiring instructions. It's probably not going to be a good plan, right? That's how your deal gets blown up. And being a good transaction coordinator is far more than just some checklist. You can go download a checklist off the internet. If that was the answer, everybody would do it. What is a good coordinator? Somebody that can, one, look at your contracts, look for problems, understand what type of deal it is, and then go back to your seller, get the paperwork, get everything that's going to be required, but understanding what's going to be required, because like the seller doesn't know. A lot of times our clients don't know, right? When it's a dead person who had a sub, you're taking it sub two, and there's a trust and a power of attorney in there, like what is it that you need and what don't you need, right? How do we get this through just as quickly as possible? So being a good TC is far more than just some checklist. And again, one of the things we strived for from the very beginning was having just a complete turnkey, just done for you system, where literally you become partners with us, or a client of ours, and tomorrow you have what do we have, 16 coordinators out there that are at your service. One thing I want to show you guys here, I don't normally show it, but Amanda asked me to, is we'll show you what our CRM, our deal portal looks like, where you'll be able to see that every single file has a dedicated coordinator. Because what I didn't want, what don't know.
I think somebody is unmuted that's giving you some feedback, David.
Yeah, that's okay. So I remember way back in the day, I would take one of my files over to the title company, and there we are. And I would drop it off, and they'd say, "Okay, great, Penelope's going to be your closer. Awesome." So I call back next week to Penelope, and she's like, "Oh, that file got moved over to Bob." I'm like, "Okay, great. Transfer me to Bob." Bob's voicemail says he's on vacation for 2 weeks, but to call Steve. And then I call over to Steve, and he's like, "Oh man, I've got this whole file of all these papers. I'll get to it just as quick as I can." Right. So again, it kind of goes back to one of our core values is we want to compress time for our clients. So once your file is assigned to a person, that person is with that file all the way till the end. Why? Because it's the same person talking to the seller, same person talking to the buyer, same person talking to the title company, right? So there's not this kind of constant handoff where you've got to relearn every new file that comes to you. So dedicated, coordinators, and we're going to hold your hand. You don't have any need to be a title expert, right? You don't have to learn that. That's not, something that you've got to add to your repertoire. Um, Corey Geary, friend of ours, he's one of these guys that was with us at the very, very beginning that we sort of tested the company on. And you know, fantastic here. He says, we've been an absolute game changer in his business. Not only do we understand how to do innovations in the creative deals, but of course, we'll find the title companies to understand how to structure these deals. So, what he's talking about there is, we have our own in house title company, and then we also partner with over 400 title companies nationwide. And here's the thing, a lot of you have probably experienced this in the past where you have a file, you take it to the title company and like, yeah, I can do an assignment, or I can do innovation, or I can do whatever it is. And then you get to the finish line and they're like, oh, yeah, my underwriter said that we can't do this. And you're like, why did you waste my time? So, we are very, 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 peculiar or particular, I guess is the right word, of who it is that we will send our files to if we're not going to do them in-house. Because again, we take that responsibility of getting your deals closed very seriously. And we vet all of these title companies. So now you don't have to we will go in and, oh, you can say you can do innovation. Great. Send me the paperwork showing me that you've done one so that we know that you truly understand what it is that you're doing. Because if, your deal goes sideways at the last minute because we didn't vet a title company right, like you should be mad. You should be mad at us. And, we're not gonna do that. So the other thing here, Corey talked about is he was able to eliminate two positions in his company, which was equal to $80,000 in revenue or in money that he could put back into his company, and he used that for marketing. Imagine being able to put $80,000 back into your company for marketing. What would that do? Right? The average deal costs you what, $3,000, $4,000? Like that's the cost to acquire a deal. So he could take that 80, put it back in, do 20 deals at an average of even 18,000. Right? Now all of a sudden that 80,000 turned into 400,000. See how these things start to work when you're able to, reinvest in your company and really spend the time focused on the things that matter. It starts to compound and add up very quickly, which is how, Alex was able to do what he did. So for us, again, super easy to implement and onboard. In a minute here, I'll give you a little QR code where you can book a call with our team if you'd like to really where we can dig in and do, we have 100 people on this call, so it's challenging to talk to you all about exactly what your business is and how we can help you. But we're very, very easy to onboard into your existing business. Super low barrier of entry. Like literally we are cheaper than hiring the girl who does the fries at McDonald's. Like we're very, very inexpensive. You receive your own custom portal. So again, all of this kind of stems back from my own PTSD from when I was a wholesaler. And, you wake up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on with my deal at 123 Main Street? Right. So before we even launched our company, I wanted to make sure that there was a place where you could go and see exactly what was happening with your deal day or night, updated in real time so that you can hold us accountable too, to make sure that we are doing, working on your files and doing the right thing. We talked about the dedicated coordinator and getting your time back. But ultimately, again, closing more deals and getting more checks. So whoops. Yep, maybe. I'm going to, let's see, stop sharing this for 1 second.
While you're doing that, David, I want everyone on the call to understand one of the things that I picked up most when learning about this whole concept was, a lot of people in real estate investing, they love the thrill and the drama in the beginning, right? They love finding the deals and they love negotiating the deals. So imagine that you can continue to only do that and then you
Yeah.
just hand it off. You just hand it off. It's like a little beautiful, fairy came in and did all this stuff for you that we always joke about, the fairy does the paperwork. But literally, you can do that and only focus on the areas that you thrive and love to do. Obviously scaling and growing, but then also the fact that you guys are able to help people no matter what level they're at, right? Because I'm sure on the call we have
Mhm.
beginner, mid-level, experts, whatever. But I think I have a huge amount of people that I know when I talk to that they're just starting out or it's their side hustle, right? They haven't made enough to quit their day job. So in this regard, they can now just find those deals and be able to get out of that day job quicker and then literally not deal with any of the paperwork. I hope everyone is hearing that because I'm not a real estate investor, but I deal with them every single day. And I feel like that's the one pain point that they all just don't want to, the loss of the deal, the
Mhm.
time consuming it takes, and to know that there's a service out there that helps you buy it back quicker, helps you scale quicker. In some cases, if you've already gone to a certain level, you might be able to, like Corey did, back off some certain positions to save money on your bottom line and then reinvest in the marketing and the finding the deals and all that. So I really hope that, everyone's understanding that this is something that I didn't even know this existed until recently, until I met David, and we have a lot of our paths cross in a lot of areas because I do a lot of events and stuff within the real estate sector. And I just can't imagine having to do all the paperwork now that I know now that I know you exist.
I tell you that it's funny because that's probably the thing that I hear most from our new clients. One, first off, new clients that work a 9 to 5 love us because
Yep.
when's a title company open? 9 to 5. When are you working your job? 9 to 5. It's very difficult to do those things and have those extended conversations. Um, but the yeah, yes. So yeah, that I mean those work out. It works out really good for people like that. But the other thing is yeah, I almost lost my train of thought. What I hear from clients, 45, 60 days later, is they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much time I was spending on transactions, right? I just because it's 10 minutes here, an hour here, 5 emails. Let me run over here. Let me do this. Let me, it's just sort of like death by 1,000 paper cuts. And the other thing I hear is, oh, I didn't realize I didn't have to do it, right? Because I just thought when I started, like, oh, this is just part of the deal, right? Like I have to do this, because I'm the guy and whatever. But yeah, once I realized that I could have somebody else do it, oh my goodness, my life got infinitely better. So let me show you this. I don't normally show this because this is actually a live view. So don't anybody be screenshotting anything. Um, I'm gonna, well, let me do this first. So we call it a portal, right? And these are different statuses that your deal would go through. So everything starts over here on the left, gathering seller docs, works all the way over to closed, right? So as it progresses along, you'll see these little boxes will move from left to right. Uploading a deal to us is incredibly simple. Like it's literally made so that a 10-year-old can do it. You're going to jump in here, tell me what type of property it is, right? Because that's important to us. What type of deal it is, novation, owner finance, retail, double close, right? Do you want a search to be done? Is this a joint venture? Let us know. But I need the property address and I need the seller's information. Why? Because as soon as you do this, send this to us, we're going to assign it to a coordinator and we're also going to assign it to a title company, right? So, I'm going to assign it to the right coordinator who does those types of deals, really specializes in those deals. And if it's in West Virginia, right, I now know it's a novation on a single family home in West Virginia. Well, the reason we work with 400 title companies across the country is because not every title company does the same thing, right? Some only want to do retail sales. Some will do wholesale, but won't do, a novation, but we'll do a novation, but won't do um, a sub two wrap, whatever it is, right? So that's it. And then it's as simple as drag and drop your file in here and you're done, right? You're out. I tell people it's like a relay race, right? When we we're a little fat kid in high school doing the relay race, I'm like, couldn't hand that baton off just fast enough, right? Once you hand it off to us, go sell your deal, go get your next deal, go do the things in your business that are gonna move the needle. So let me show you what one of these looks like. So that little box again kind of moves its way from left to right. This is just a test file because I don't want to show you all people's social security numbers and things. This was a real file that we've just kind of blacked out. So when you open up any of those boxes, at any point it's explodable, comes in here. And kind of along the top here, one of our clients called it the Domino's Pizza Tracker because it lights up as it goes from left to right. But you can see purchase amount, selling amount, what your assignment fee is. And you go down, it gives you all of the information. This, I've had people tell me it's better than the Podio CRM that they've got. Earnest money. It's going to tell you who your coordinator is, right? Her email, phone number, who her boss is. But the one thing that we're really amazing at, and this is what I always try to stress to people, we're really great at obviously pushing these deals forward, but taking notes. right? Like this is a normal file. This isn't even really a complicated one. And what I tell people is like, you're going to do this or I'm going to do it. Somebody's going to do it. But if it's you, are you not
A lot
calling
of
it?
time.
Are you not calling your seller back? Are you not dealing with your marketing? Are you not, getting your deal sold? Are you not talking to your realtor? Like, what's not happening if you're doing all of this? Right? Again, this is important. I'm not here to say it's not important. It's very important, but it's an administrative task. And when you can outsource that to somebody who could do it at a very high level, who's doing this is all that they do you think they will do it better than you? Yeah, of course. Like I tell people, I'm really good at closing transactions and I'm not this good, right? Like it's not fun. I own the company and I wouldn't want to do this on a daily basis. But we go out and we hire people that this is their personality. They love problem solving. They love, very detail oriented work. They're not salespeople, right? These are not salespeople. These are people who work and do coordination at a, super high level. So, kind of along the top here, gives you more sell information about your seller, more detailed on your buyer, title company, who's got, if there's a lender where all the EMD and stuff is, but then also all of the documents, right? I mean, you can see these are all real docs. They've just been kind of blacked out, but everything that you collect and that we collect, everything is in here, right? Um, Emails, any kind of notices, everything is here. Um, the HUD will always be in here. Oh, there's where I want to be, right there. So here's what's going to happen. Once you upload your file to us, right? It's going to go to, let's say it goes to Claudia, one of our coordinators. She's immediately going to pick up the phone. Hey, Mrs. Smith. Hey, this is Claudia. I'm working with Amanda on your deal over here at 123 Main Street. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way till closing. Amanda, you're out. Go do your thing. Like this is where we have that handoff. This is where we're gonna take over for you. So, Mrs. Smith, I need to collect some information for the title company so I get you paid just as quickly as possible, right? Because we understand we're always, these people are doing this for the money, so we're gonna keep them motivated. But again, 3,000 files. We understand the questions that are going to have to be asked. So we're very proactive, right? We understand that every deal is going to be a little different and, every form will be just a little different, but we know what the title company is going to need. Title company never calls us at the last minute and says, hey, I need to run a buyer search. I need, the last 5 digits of somebody's social security number, right? We gather up all of these things at the very start. And that's why we're able to do, so many of these so quickly. So we'll talk to the seller. Hey, what's the best way for us to get a hold of you? Because we're also, one of our KPIs is we're going to reach out to that seller every single week. Hey, Mrs. Smith, just want to let you know everything's moving forward. We're moving right along. And so we're going to make sure that we touch base with her every week because we don't want them to have that thing where it would happen to me, like, oh, you're actually really buying my house, right? Um, because that's the kind of stuff that makes your sellers get nervous. So, we got this, we'll grab the seller, forwarding address, phone, date of birth, social, all that type of stuff. Married or single, that was what we started with. And then we realized, oh, widowed and divorced is actually a thing that matters, right? So if you're divorced, was it before or was it after? And I know these are going to be kind of boring things. Like transaction coordination is not it's not the sexiest topic out there, but again, we want to take all of this off your plate so that you can be doing the parts of the business that matter. Is there a seller? Great. Or a spouse? We'll gather up all that information. Neighborhood dues, is that important? Of course it is, because you have to get an estoppel letter saying that it's, your dues are paid up. Occupancy, is this your primary residence? Is there a tenant in there? Well, if that was checked yes, we would gather up all of this information for you, right? Tenant, phone number, email, security, what's the rent, what's the deposit, all of that type of stuff. Why is that important? Because that has to transfer on the closing statement. We'll gather up a copy of the lease if they have one. Property manager. Again, why is that important stuff? That's important stuff because they're probably holding the security deposit. They're probably the person with the spare set of keys that needs to get transferred at closing. So again, just after doing so many of these, we're very just aware of what it is that the title company is going to need. And in return, title companies love us and they can process your deal faster because they're not having to come back to you 40 times to ask a bunch of silly questions. Is it a mobile home? Anybody who's done mobile home knows that you need to have the serial numbers. We'll talk to them about where do you want to close, right? Do you want to come in office? You want to mail away? Do you want a notary? Like, what do you want? And how do you want to get your funds? I can't tell you how many times I've been on the other side of a closing and the title company's like, hey, do they want a check or a wire? Like, oh shit, I don't know. Let me call them and ask, right? So that's just the kind of stuff that we'll do at the very start. And then, a lot of government questions, are you a citizen? Do you have an owner's policy? Who else is on title, bankruptcy, property taxes? Are there any other liens? So you can just see like super, super thorough in everything. This is like just the first thing that we do. Um, if there was a mortgage, we'll go ahead and we will get a authorization to release information so that the title company will release the payoff information for the title company. So yeah, so just kind of gives you a little idea of where it starts and what it looks like, and the software that we built to make sure that you understand that your deals are being taken care of. And honestly, I have a lot of clients who are like, man, I thought I was doing a good job. I thought the coordinator I had doing it was doing a good job, and we're not doing anything kind of even close to what this is. So yeah, so that's just kind of a whoops. There we are. Just a little sort of look at what we do for you. And again, why do all that stuff? Right? What is like why would you outsource to us? Because what is the reason that you got into this business? Right? It may not be to be riding on a private jet. That's cool, but there was a reason that you got into this business, right? Whether it was to open an orphanage in South America, or go on vacation, or again, be able to pick up your kid and drop them off at school, or go to school lunch, with your daughter, whatever it is. Like, what was that reason, right? And what's keeping you from doing that now? Well, it's time. We're all super busy. So, with us, you can really get that time back. So that's kind of it, guys. Easy REI closings. I always tell people more deals, more money, more time and freedom. And if all we did, if all we were able to do was to save you like one deal every 3 months, right? Like one deal that didn't fall apart because a title company told you it couldn't be closed, right? Or, you didn't talk to your seller and they bounced out, or signed a contract with somebody else, or, solve some title issues that you had no idea how to do, or, took all that stuff off your plate so that you could answer those calls when they come in, right? You're using Amanda to help get money to fund your marketing, right? You got to make sure that you're responding to that. If all we did was helped you save, 3 or 4 deals a year. Like if your average, that's what, $70,000. I promise you, we are far, far less than that to hire and have on your team. So, that's just what I ask people is, if nothing else, look at what we were able to do for Corey. He was able to save $80,000, take that 80,000 and turn it into 400. Right? That's a pretty good trade-off. But what if it was free? What we do, and this is something that I did in my wholesale business for a couple of years, even before we started EZ. And again, that's the value that you get from working with people who are real investors, is we figured out a way to charge our end buyer a transaction fee, an administrative fee that offset anything that I was having to pay my coordinator. So of course you pay us, we work on a monthly fee to keep it very, very inexpensive, but we'll show you how to offset that and actually even turn your transactions into a profit center, which is, just the best deal ever. Because now you don't have to deal with any of this stuff. You can outsource it to literally the best team on earth and actually make money doing it too. So that's usually that's pretty good. People love to hear that. So for you that are here, take out your phone, go ahead and scan this QR code. I just had a bunch of time opened up on my calendar and my team's calendar so that we could chat with you, because I know we had a ton of people on here. But we've definitely got some times this week. We'd love to sit down and really just, our goal in these chats is, tell us what you did last year. Tell us what your goal is for this year, right? You want to grow. You want to go from doing 1 deal a month to 5 deals a month, or 3 deals a month to 8 deals a month. What is it that you want to do? And we can really have that kind of more one-on-one conversation and talk about your business and, how we can help you. And, if we're not the right answer, I will definitely point you in the right direction. But yeah, anyways, we'd definitely love love to chat with you. And one thing that I offer to do for Amanda, because we certainly appreciate you guys coming on. Anybody that books a call and signs up with us this week, I have a dispositions course that I did that was selling for $49.99, and we will give that to you guys as a nice gift, because I appreciate Amanda bringing y'all here today.
And we appreciate that, David. I'm excited. I hope everybody understands that, I can't think of a reason to not book the call if you're working in the real estate world, which I assume you all are. There isn't really any downfall in the sense of you're able to focus on the things you enjoy. You're able to do whatever it was you set out to do. We all set out in our careers and our paths to
Yeah,
accomplish something, right? Whether it's being, flexible to be with your kids or building, a financial kingdom for whatever you want. This is a way that in the real estate world is amazing to get there much quicker. Emmanuel, I know you're asking me a question in the chat. They're asking about a replay. I would actually suggest book a call, have a one-on-one conversation, because you can get a ton of value just talking to David and his team. But I'm sure they also can get with you
sure.
and give you a direct, replay or whatever from this call. And then Robert asked a question. I think Robert's answer is you guys can handle any type of deal, correct? It doesn't really matter because he's asking about first position, second position for the actual seller side.
Yeah, Robert, as long as you're very clear in your contract, you know, who's going where, and you give us good instructions. We've done all kinds of wacky things. I mean, just
Yeah.
some things that even after 22 years, I'm like, oh, that's new. Jennifer, it's novation. And a novation is it's a way to wholesale a property to a retail buyer where the property is listed on MLS and you bring in retail buyers. Been very popular the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It is the type of transaction that is fraught with the most challenges because now you're starting to deal with retail people, not cash buyers. And if the wrong paperwork goes to the title company, or you let the buyer's agent pick the closing company, those deals blow up very, very quickly, because retail people aren't used to seeing, why is Amanda making $45,000 on this deal? So those, we really specialize in that. I think over 40% of our deals are novations. We close more novations than anybody in the country. And you want to make sure those are handled correctly. So again, when we talk about lost deals, it's those deals that blow up at the last minute because you
Yep.
picked a title company, or you didn't understand something, not because you did anything malicious, you just didn't understand, right? And you sent the underlying contract to the to the agent, and he's like, well, why are you buying this at 200 and selling it to my person for 245? Like, what's the deal? So that's the kind of thing that we see frequently. People come to us and they're like, I don't understand what happened. So yeah, so anyways, but if you guys have questions, I've got a few minutes. I'm happy to sit here and answer any title or transaction questions or questions about us. If anybody has any or wants to raise their hand or do any of the things, unmute yourself and shout it out. Oh, everybody shy today.
You have 100 shy people in one
Everybody
phone
shy.
call. No, listen, book the call. It's like I say to people all the time, a conversation can lead to so many different directions. And it's definitely worth the time to figure it out, especially if this is your business model and this is your life that you're building. There's literally no reason to not find out if this resource is the right thing for you. They are able to give you a fee structure that is in line with how many deals you're doing, some people only want to do a couple a year because it's their side business. Of course, they're not going to charge, the same fee
Right.
for everybody. It's not like a fund and grow. We're a flat fee model because we do a very different thing. This can be where it's very reasonable and economical, even for the person that's only doing a couple deals a year.
Yeah, and yeah, you're 100% right. So, we looked at that originally and we said, well, how do we make sense for the person who's doing one or two deals a month and the person who's doing 40, right? Because I can't charge everybody the guy that's doing 40, and I'd go broke if I charged everybody the one. So
Right.
yeah, absolutely jump on a call. We've got lots of different levels of pricing based on where you're at. And as you grow, we're able to grow with you very easily. So yeah, lots of different levels there. So yeah, it would really depend on kind of your business and um
Yeah.
what you got going on.
What stage you're at, because everyone's at a different stage when it's the real estate market, because it's just all over the place. There are people who are, like you said, doing 10 deals a year, and there's people doing 100 deals a year. It's a very different market between those two.
Can you pay per closing? We do have a plan that allows for that. It's a little more expensive to do it that way, Michael. I'll be honest with you. The monthly fee is probably half the price to do it that way. But yeah, we do have an option to be able to do that. So jump on a call. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So cool.
Did you get Jennifer?
Oh, Jennifer,
That was the
unmute.
Novation one. We did that
Yeah,
one.
hi. No, I
Oh,
Oh,
actually have a question. Since you
ready.
invited questions,
Sure.
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I have a weird thing. We've done flips, we've done long-term rentals, short-term rentals. We're getting into some land wholesaling, and
Sure.
this elderly gentleman called me about a letter I sent out for land, and he said, well, you can have this piece of land because the town keeps sending me tax bills
Sure.
and I don't own it. And I write on the tax bills, return to sender, and I send them back unopened. And he's been doing this for years and years and years. So this land was his deceased wife's deceased aunt's land. It's
Okay.
still in her name.
Yep.
The tax bill is up to $40,000.
Oh,
The value of the land is about $40,000. It's a little landlocked piece of land. I actually have a neighbor who's interested in buying it, which is great. But I said to the town, I'm talking to the tax collector in the town, and I said, what makes you think he owns it? And she said, well, I don't know, but that's the address that we have for next of kin. And that's where we've been sending the tax bills. So my title guy says it probably didn't go through probate. And I'm going to have to, if I'm interested in the land, I'll have to hire an attorney, go through probate. I could be putting money out that I don't even get back if the deal falls through or whatever. But a lot of pieces of land I come across are
yeah.
still in the name of, I've gotten offers on pieces of land that have been in a family for 100 years.
Yep.
And it's still in like great granddad's name.
You'd be amazed.
So
Land
yeah,
is
go ahead.
the worst titled stuff ever because it's exactly this. So depending upon what state it's in, because there are a couple states where you actually do have to probate. Florida's one, Hawaii is one. A lot of states like Tennessee, if I'm going to preface this, if you can get everybody on board, all the heirs, and everybody is willing to sign saying that, hey, it's okay for Joe or whoever it is, the guy that called you, to sell this property, you can avoid probate and still get clear title. That's a much longer conversation. I'd want to look at the deeds and,
Right.
Is there something that can be done? Absolutely. Always, not always, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always. But, would you say an aunt, if you can track the family tree, the aunt, and it went to this person and this person, if that's a very smooth line and there's not 40 heirs, then you can probably get it closed.
Yeah.
As an investor, I would tell you, is the juice worth the squeeze? If you're going to contract it at 40 and sell it at 40, it's probably not worth your time.
No, yeah, this one, it's clearly not. And, half of what he owes the town, it's interest on the taxes.
And if it's a small town, Jennifer, that I generally say you can't negotiate taxes. Maybe you could go back to the town and go, hey, I can get this paid for you if you guys would just take the principal, right? And they may, because otherwise
No,
just
I
no.
did ask them that. And I also said, this guy's like 82. I said,
Yeah.
he's a senior citizen. If he was paying these taxes, he probably would have applied for senior tax relief all this time, and they discussed it amongst themselves and said, no, we want the whole thing. And I said, why don't you guys just foreclose on it? And they said, we don't want the land. So
Yeah, that's their only
they put a
recourse.
lien on his property. They're accruing interest daily.
Yeah.
And it's a useless landlocked piece of land and they don't even want it. So they're making life difficult for this guy.
Yeah.
And he swears up and down he doesn't own it. He's like, I don't own this. I don't know who does, but it's not me. I'm not paying these taxes.
They just picked him up out of the forwarding address and had to put a name on it, and that's how he got in there. But
it amazes me that they can just do that though, like without doing their own due diligence,
I mean,
figuring out who really owns it.
It's not going to affect him. He can literally walk away tomorrow, the only thing they can do is take the land.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
there's no further recourse. They can't sue him or anything, right? I mean, it's because, you know,
Right.
he can obviously show like, I'm not on chain of title. This isn't mine. Go have a nice day, right? But this is
Right. Right.
small town politics. But, you know, again, for 20 grand, is it worth going and talking to like a town selectman or alderman or whatever they're called in that area?
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I'm moving on.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it, you know, but yeah, sometimes it's the only deal you got. Some people will do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But this is where we talked about in the beginning, right? Our job as wholesalers and investors is to solve problems. And, you know, do you want to, you know, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's really the question on this. You know, sometimes, you know, when I was wholesaling a lot, we'd talk to people and it's a very sad story, but there's no place for me to get involved to be able to help, you know. Just
Uh,
Right.
the town's going to end up with the land, which is what they don't want, but that's what they're going to end up with, and it's going to be
sooner or later.
worthless.
Yeah, that's, you know, they should just taken the deal for the 20 and called it a day, you
Yeah.
know.
Right. Right. Yeah. And here he is telling me he'll just give it to me. He's
Yeah,
like, you can have it, but how can I prove he owns it? I'm not going to do the work to prove that he owns it
yeah,
just so I can buy it and then resell it for,
right.
a very, very slim margin. So,
So in a
but
case
well,
like
thank
that,
you for the advice. I
oh,
appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. So in a case like that, like let's say it was worth something, right? And you know, we can talk to the seller and it was his wife or uncle, you know, who had passed away. Great. Like if you can get us in touch with all the heirs, we can do the paperwork for you. That's not a big deal. I always tell people as long as they're participating, we can do anything, literally almost anything. But if you've got 5 heirs and one of them just digs their feet in like my English bulldog and says, I'm not doing this, you can't do anything, you know.
Yeah.
There is some super advanced strategy. You can do a petition of title and buy 80% of the property and then go back to them later and force a sale. But again, that's not normal, right? But that's, you know, we've
Yeah.
done
And
it.
again, is it worth it? Yeah. For
Yeah.
how many zeros are you doing all that work?
Yeah, you know, it's sort of like outsourcing, right? Your time is better spent on something else, right? You should not,
Yeah.
you know, what do they say when you're in a plane, right? Put your own mask on first. Do not
Right.
don't go down with the ship. And it's not to say that it's not a terrible situation and it's an injustice to this guy, but it's just it's not your fight, you know. There's just so much you can do. So cool. Anybody else have questions? That was a good one. I love that. I love the wacky stuff. That's what we do here. Well, cool.
Wacky Dave.
Dun, dun, dun. So, well, cool. Well, before we end this, if you guys have not booked a call yet, I see a bunch of calls being booked now, kind of popping through my email, but go ahead and scan that, pick a time that works for you. And let's jump on a call. Tell me your crazy stories and let's see how we can help you grow your business.
Yeah, thank you for everybody for coming in and joining us. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I love this offer. You know, I don't see any downfall. Like have the
No,
call,
yeah,
figure it out.
we tried to make like that Alex Ramosi, that irresistible offer. I'm like, we're gonna do a great job for you. We're gonna help you make more money. We're stupid cheap, and I'll show you how to make it free.
Love
So
it
yeah, yeah. Well, Miss Amanda, thank you so much. It was good to see you again after last week.
too.
I know. Well, hopefully we'll catch you at one of these events. Well, you said you'll be at the May event, right?
I should be at May. Yep, yep.
Where is
You
May?
can meet it's in Texas. I don't know. I always forget.
Oh, yeah. He does a bunch in Texas, but then I think there's one coming up in Orlando. Should be close for
That's
you.
exciting. That's very close for me.
Yeah,
So, but you'll see Emron there in April. You met him last time, I think.
I did.
So,
Well,
all
I'll
right.
more time with him. Well, you guys have a great day. Go out there, get some contracts, and look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.